Welcome everyone to the Vision Possible live monthly Q&A. Thank you for joining us. We are indeed live. Everyone give a shout out. How's it going?
I'm doing this. I'm just going to do this.
Hello.
A couple of times.
You know what? I am happy to say I am in a chair where I can do the same. Look at this.
Look at
all
that.
the way around. For the first time, I'm in a rolly chair. What do you know?
Yay.
Wow.
Nice.
Hey, thank you all for joining us. We are indeed live. Today is September 27th at 6 o'clock Mountain Time, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. It's just so good to have you on. I'm sorry, 5 o'clock Pacific. Can't forget about our California
Don't
people.
forget about us. Don't forget about us.
That's right. Guys, we are taking your questions live. So let me put up the instructions on the screen, how you can send in your question. If you've been with us before, then you already know the ropes. There's a couple different ways you can do so. First, you can text your questions in at VP question. So you type in the message at VP question and you send that to the short code 81010. It'll prompt you to sign up, put in your name. That way we know who you are and it'll submit your question. Or if you're watching live on Facebook and YouTube tonight, you can post your question in the comments. Jasper, so good to see you. Alexandra, good to see you. Aaron, so glad you guys are joining us. Welcome, welcome. Please submit your questions. That's what we're here for. But before we get into the questions, does anyone have anything they'd like to open with or start with? Anything that you have on your heart you want to share?
Well, I always want to say something, but what I do want to say is that you guys are visionaries. You have made an attempt to get onto this. I don't know if you've been on every month, but to come tonight, that means that you are wanting something big and you're going to get it because you are desiring some great information tonight and you're going to be not just motivated, because we don't want to just motivate. That's really been on my heart a lot, is like, we don't want to just motivate you. We want to actually have you go do something. But you all are visionaries and you are going to see your vision come to pass because you've logged on tonight and you're inquiring and you want to know. And that is the first step to major success.
Amen.
Whoop, whoop. Well said. Hey guys,
so...
I just want to say too, yes, I just second what Julieann said. We're here to help you guys get your vision started, and we're here to answer all of your questions. That's really how these Q&As work, is we get questions, we give answers. We can sit here and talk all night just about things off the top of our head, but we really want to hear from our audience. Even as you guys start coming on and more people start joining us, just give us your questions. Let us know what you want to hear, and we will be here to answer them for you.
You know, one of the things that I say in my videos all the time is that we are passionate, and this is true about Vision Possible. All of the coaches you see here, all of us, we are passionate about seeing your daydream become your day job, about seeing your 5 to 9, what you have as a hobby, become your 9 to 5. And no matter what it is, whether you want to write a book, whether you want to switch careers, whether you want to start a business, whatever it may be, we've seen all of those. We've worked with for people who have gone through all of those things, and that's what we're excited about. We're excited about you seeing your passion become reality. What you're excited about, what you're called to, actually walk it out. So no matter where you are, whether you haven't even figured out what your vision is yet, whether you maybe you know what it is, but you just haven't taken that first step, or maybe you're already walking in your vision, you just need encouragement. No matter who you are, we have got something for you at Vision Possible. And that's why we come to you every single month with these live Q&As, why we send out the videos, why we post this content, because we so appreciate you guys and want to see you just grow. And so that's what we're here for tonight. I've actually got a few questions if we're ready to get started. Ryan or Carly, did you have anything to share?
Let's do it.
Into it.
All right, let's do this thing. All right, so my first question, let's see, Butch, this one's for you. What is it like to stand against criticism? Ooh, that's a good one. What's it like to stand against criticism?
Why do you come to me with that one? Why do I get that question?
I feel like there's someone in this group who's had more criticism than others. That's all.
Well, thank goodness it's not me, but I'll answer as if it was me. How about that? I'll pretend it was me. What's it like to stand against criticism? Well, you know what? I think it's, first of all, criticism is never fun. I don't think anyone likes it. I think maybe some people like it, but I doubt. I don't think I've ever met any of those people. But I think criticism, like anything, will make you stronger. And if you know that the criticism isn't true, let's say somebody makes something up, or if they sort of, I don't know, they pull something small out of a situation and make it into a big thing, and you're going, how did this get so blown out of proportion? As long as you know that the root of the criticism is not true, or it's something that, you're positive that you're in the right on, then you can stand because you are standing on the truth. The truth will always win. Criticism is fast, it's ugly, it does hurt, but it'll definitely make you stronger. And I just encourage you to get past it. Don't let it win. I've seen people get criticized, and rightly so. There's been people out there that have been criticized for things they've actually done, and they end up standing against it and accomplish great things. If you can stand up against things and you haven't even done anything, boy, you're going to get stronger as a result. It'll make you smarter too. And I just encourage you to never back down. Those are the 3 words I want to leave you with for this moment. Never back down.
One of the pictures that I just got while you were talking about that is Rocky. In the movies, like, it's not that he was a great fighter, right? It was just that he was able to stand. It's just that he was able to take the punches, continue taking them, and he wouldn't he wouldn't give up. He wouldn't lay down. He wouldn't tap out, right? And for all of us, that is the attitude that we need to have in life. You're not gonna be given something that you can't handle. All of the experiences in your life has made you the person you are today, and you are strong. You have to believe that about yourself and just keep taking that onslaught, because you know what? It's not easy. Achieving your vision is not easy at all. But when you keep standing firm, it just becomes easier and easier. It's just small victories that slowly build up to massive, massive victory. Because you're looking back and you're like, man, one step at a time, one day at a time. You say, hey, I can do this thing today. I can make this one little step. I can make this one little change. And before you know it, you look back and you're a completely different person, completely fulfilling your vision.
And if,
so stand.
And if you think you're getting criticized on the way to your dream, just wait till the dream becomes accomplished. When you get to where you want to be, the criticism is going to increase. I hate to break that to everybody, but it actually will increase. But Denzel Washington said something very, very wise. He said, you'll never be criticized by someone doing more than you. Someone doing more than you will never criticize you. It's always the people that kind of want what you have or want to achieve what you've achieved. And it's a shame it happens, but every successful person you can name has been criticized by someone.
Mm-hmm.
That's so true. Hey, check out this comment from the Analog Kid 97 before we move off this topic. Completely agree. Like Rocky said in his 6th movie, if it ain't about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's about right.
Wow. Way to add that to the chat. I love that.
And I want to add too a scripture that said, "Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake." And so I always go to the Word of God because that to me, that this was written and read. That means that's what Jesus said. No one was persecuted more than he was. And you know what? I just feel this way. When they want to say those mean things and criticize you, that means we're getting blessed even more. So keep doing it, because we just keep getting blessed every time that happens. It doesn't affect it. If you can take this in as truth and make this be your life, then you will not even, it's like that just kind of rolls off your back. Who cares?
Yeah, that's so true. I think back to the book of Philippians. The Bible talks about putting on the full armor of God, right? And we sometimes think, well, the full armor of God, we're going to put it on so we can fight, right? But the verse literally after the full armor of God says, and doing all to stand therefore. So once you've done all to stand and you feel like you're going to fall down, you feel like you're going to fail, you feel like you're just going to be defeated, stand and keep standing. So the armor of God isn't so we can go and offensively or defensively fight the enemy. It's so we can stand and stand firm in our identity and our purpose and who we are.
And plus, last thing I want to add is that, people that do that, there's something in them that's not like something's not right, that you would want to just blatantly out there for no reason at all, just start saying some really horrible, mean things, lies about people. So what we do is that we pray for those people, because obviously there is so much hate in their heart. And like, why would you do something like that? Well, there's something obviously that's making you angry. And so we pray for those people that they would find that love on the inside of their heart to make a change in their life.
And
That's right.
what I want to add is, I think the criticism question can also go towards like criticizing yourself. I feel like we can be really hard on ourselves, which I'm extremely guilty of. But that phrase, like, treat others the way you want to be treated. I think sometimes we treat others poorly because we're actually treating ourselves poorly. Like, sometimes do you really feel like you would tell someone to their face what you tell yourself in your mind? Sometimes we're so mean to ourselves and we beat ourselves up so much and criticize ourselves out of literally nowhere. And it is not necessary at all. Would you ever talk to someone else the way that you talk to yourself sometimes? I think that's actually a struggle of like why people can sometimes have an issue of, being kind to others, treating others well, because you don't know how to treat yourself well. And so I think if you can treat yourself well, talk to yourself kindly. Like, what if you just tried it for one day of like being nice to yourself the way you'd be nice to a friend, and just see how that starts motivating you more and more.
Carly, that's amazing. That is so good.
That's so
She's
good.
a smart cookie.
She is.
I see a lot of amens and I agrees in the chat, so that's good. All right, well, we've got another question. This one is from Alex on YouTube. He says, what are some steps I can take to surround myself with ambitious, like-minded people on a regular basis? That is a great question, because it's like the parable of the eagle with the chickens, right? You are the sum of those you hang around. So if you're hanging around and seeing people a certain way, you're gonna naturally gravitate towards that and become that, right? But Julieann, I'll ask this one to you. Do you have some insight on this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I would get involved in groups of people that have that same kind of drive. It's like there's so many. I mean, my gosh, even just online Facebook groups, there's so many different things that we can do and that we can have at our fingertips, to where we can feel like we are with people that are like-minded. Again, Facebook groups. Also too, like, start venturing out there. I know COVID has made all of us, retract and be at home and not do anything and kind of get lethargic and lazy and all that stuff. Well, it's time now to get out. I'm sure there are groups that are meeting together, and these are groups that really want to go and do some great things. So maybe there's a conference around where it's talking about, oh my gosh, there's all kinds of coaching conferences out there all the time. Go to those, because you're going to be with people that want to get together and want to be together with other like-minded people that want to change the world, just like what we do. When we do our conferences, those are the kind of people that we're attracting, are those ones that want to do something, that might be afraid to do it, or they've already been doing it, but they haven't seen much movement or success in it. So those are the people that you want to be around. Again, for the younger people, Facebook groups. If it was me, I would start going to conferences where I am meeting people that are having the same drive that I'm having.
Can I take that one as well? Because from the younger perspective too, of like growing up as a young entrepreneur at the age of 17, that's very unpopular and no one is really doing that, at least when I was doing it. And so surrounding yourself with ambitious, like-minded people then was just networking events, Instagram connections, just like literally finding people with similar drives to you. Like, it's about intentionality. What is really important to know is that this is not going to just come knocking on your door. An ambitious person is not just going to knock on your door like, hi, I want to be your friend. You have to be very intentional with the process, with pouring into others, with allowing others to pour into you. And so whether it's book clubs, whether it's like something you want to start with a few like-minded friends that you have that then can invite others. I know friends who used to have dinners at their houses, just like inviting a few friends over and be like, invite whoever you want. And people would like come over, and that's how like they'd all become friends. And make like-minded friends that way. Like there's so many ways to do that, but you have to just be very intentional with who you allow in your circle, because that is extremely important for you to go any higher than you already are. Like they should not just be like at your level, but even like more ambitious than you, whatever, because you are going to grow that way. I just know people like that. So I was just always out doing things all the time, networking events, church groups for me, book clubs, like even parts of stuff, things like, what was it? I forget, like the Chamber of Commerce events in my community with older people there that I just go do networking stuff with, business things. Like, it's just like you have to just find those events and do them.
That's really good. No, that's so true. I think, especially recently, I've seen this growing quite a bit. It is even if you have a church home or you have a church that you attend, there's a lot of small groups, and that's become popular lately around certain topics, right? So if you're an entrepreneur, for example, there's sometimes a business person in a small group, or if you're an author, right? And so there's so many groups, like Carly said, that you can connect to online, virtually, but also even your local library. Just finding groups that are around the same topic that you are involved in, and finding people who have done it. Don't be ashamed. I read a book one time, and in the book it talked, the guy challenged himself. He said he's going to reach out to the top, I think it was like 50 to 100. It was a massive number of executives in the arena that he was in. And so he literally he cold called and sent letters to those executives, asking them for some time, just for a meeting, just a 30-minute meeting that I can pick your brain and I can talk. Out of that, he only got a few responses, but he ended up as like 5-10 responses. And he ended up having a lifelong relationship with 2 of them that were mentors forever. And these were top executives. I mean, executives of like GE and, General Motors and all of these other huge companies. And he ended up being able to talk to some of them. And so be bold. If you have a mentor, maybe you're following them from a distance, you're watching them, reach out, and connect with them.
You are muted.
Sorry. About Ryan, what do you do when it comes to your, kind of your place where you are with finances and all that? Like, who do you reach out to? How do you get community around you?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think one of the biggest things I've learned is how much I can actually learn and grow from my clients. Like, they're coming to me for a certain skill set or level of knowledge or sophistication. And at the same time, I'm realizing how much I'm learning and soaking up from them. And then that becomes kind of like this like feedback loop where the more sophisticated I am, the more sophisticated people that I draw to me, the more sophisticated they are, the more sophisticated I become, so on and so forth. And so whatever you're doing, do it with all of your heart. Do it because you love it. You're naturally gifted in it. And then also pay attention to what you can learn from other people, even if they're supposedly people who are learning from you, because I can always learn something from someone who, whatever the relationship is, whether it's, vertical, horizontal, if I'm the mentor, the mentee, like there's such a depth of connection and knowledge and shared experience that can make a huge difference. And that keeps reproducing itself. So look in your existing circle. And then like Carly was saying, also be very intentional to look for those people who are succeeding where you want to succeed. Don't ask for advice from people who are not in the position that you'd want to be, right? Like, you want to look at people who are doing what you want to do or where you want to be. Very intentionally seek them out, and then be willing to do that for other people who come to you. It's a bizarre thing when that starts to happen, when people start reaching out to you for what you can impart to them. And I always learn something either side of that transaction. So I just encourage you guys to be very open-minded about who you're learning from, who can impart value to, who you can also receive value from. And that will just make the whole, rising tide lifts all ships. So I think that's kind of something that I've seen work out in my business and in my vision.
That's really good. It's like the law of attraction. It's like sowing and reaping, right? You want to be what you want to attract. So if you're humble, if you're teachable, if you're open to mentorship and criticism, etc., then you're going to attract people like that into your life as well, who will be able to pour into you and to be that person for you. That was really good. Awesome. All right, I got a few more questions here. This one came in from text, and Carly, I'm going to give this one to you. The question is, what should my morning routine look like? Morning routine. I know we've talked about that before on the channel, how important that is, but Carly, this is one for you.
Well, I would first of all recommend.
You are on mute.
No, I'm not.
I heard.
I hear her.
I heard her.
Maybe
Oh,
Nathaniel's
Wait a
Can you
minute.
hear me?
Now I can hear you. Yeah, I can.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you guys hear my thoughts?
Well, I can't hear anyone, so why doesn't someone take it from here? Ask some more questions if everyone else can hear. I'll try to fix the audio problems on my side if you guys can hear me.
okay.
Yep, we can hear you. I'm so glad you asked me this question because I literally just started a morning routine a week ago. I would highly recommend listening to Terry Savelle Foy. Her podcast is amazing. I love her so much, and she's so inspiring in this way. She literally says, like, there's a book that she even has called 5 Things Successful People Do Before 8 a.m. And it's so incredible. So anyway, she's been inspiring me, and she's been in my ear about this for forever because I always listen to her stuff. So listen to her. But I just developed my morning routine a week ago. I've been doing it for literally 7 days, and it's absolutely changed my life. And I'm never stopping. So I'm a brand new girl. Anyway, look, what was the question again? What is a good morning routine?
What's a good morning
What's a good
routine?
morning routine?
Definitely what I do is I eat breakfast because I was never doing that before. A good morning routine is literally anything other than getting up 20 minutes before you have to leave and rushing out.
What time do you get up, Carly?
Well,
Now you're muted. Hold on, you're muted now. Nathaniel, are you mute? So Carly, what time do you get up?
I am talking. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
I get up at 5 a.m. So I have an hour and a half before I have to leave. So I eat, I read a motivational book, and then I read the Bible. And so that's helpful because I'm able to set my day before my day tells me how it's going to go, because that's what would happen whenever you're rushing out the door and out the window, I guess. But it's really important to set that time aside to be dedicated to your growth and pouring into yourself, because then after work, whatever, you're like running around busy. I just was never able to prioritize it. So doing it in the morning, so helpful. So do things that pour into you, whether it has to be working out, whether it has to be eating a big breakfast or something, or like listening to podcasts, whatever it is. Get Terry Savelle Foy's book because that's really inspiring, but also develop something that works for you that you need.
Plus, she does have a podcast. And a couple of years ago, I was listening to her when I would work out and stuff. She's so inspiring. What a sweet lady, too. But, I'll tell you something. Your morning routine actually is one of the most important things you'll do all day, because that really does set the tone. And like Carly said, getting up an hour and a half before, we're all in that microwave kind of a life where we're like, we just throw everything together, not even realizing that when you start your day rushed, it's like, you throw the covers off and you're like, oh my God, I'm already late. And I'm already, trying to get my schedule right, back on track again. You leave something at home, maybe what happens if your car doesn't start? It's setting your day up to fail or to not be at the level that you want it to be. And so, hey, but let me just say this, it can be done, but it takes discipline. And it just does. It takes a lot of discipline. And I know that we all have discipline in some way in our life. Maybe your discipline's not in getting up and getting out the door on time. But I know that you're disciplined in something, because everybody has a discipline of something. But if you do, if it's not in getting up early and getting your day started, start figuring out how you can make that be one of your disciplines. Because I'll tell you, spending that time in the Bible, spending that time of just getting ready, maybe listening to some music that you like and getting yourself ready and not be rushing boy, that just changed. It's a game changer for the day.
Yeah.
I apologize, everyone. I am back. I'm going to blame the AirPods. Like I had to disconnect them and put them away. So now you're getting real audio, not out of the AirPods. I am back though. Have no fear.
Praise the
I
Lord.
bet your AirPods ran out of juice. Were they plugged in? They run out of battery?
Nope. Look, it's even got the orange light still. See, they're alive. I don't know what happened, but
Don't get them out of a cereal box. You need to buy them online.
yes, that's what I did wrong.
That's it.
Awesome. All right. Well, I've got another question. This one is for Ryan. This is a great question. What should I know about finances right now to position myself to achieve my vision?
Great question. And we actually had a conversation about this in our team meeting last week, but there's some really important dynamics for people to be aware of. Now, usually I am all about being responsible, being, on top of your finances, not getting into debt. However, one of the things I have been saying from a financial planner's perspective and kind of an analytical perspective is if you have high inflation and a zero interest rate environment, then any money that you're keeping in savings, whether that's cash in a checking, savings account, something that's not earning any kind of interest, and at the same time, you have inflation that right now is around 5 or 6%, you're guaranteed to lose 5 to 6% per year, which a lot of people don't think about. We don't see that. It's not like we see the money going down in that account, but in real life terms, the purchasing power of your dollar has decreased by whatever inflation is. So trying to figure out ways to make the most optimal financial decisions. Now, if you are not at a place where you know that you have more than enough to pay for all of your monthly expenses, and you're tempted to use those high interest credit cards or those other things where you kind of cheat to make, if you've got more month than days in the month left for your paycheck, you know what I mean? If you're trying to sort things out where you can't quite make ends meet, then just do what you can to get stable. If you have more than enough, you've proven to yourself over time for a long period of time that you have the financial discipline and resolve to make sure that you don't have to use debt just to live your life, but you can use debt as a way to increase your net worth and build wealth by acquiring income producing, appreciating, tax efficient assets. Right now could be, again, I want to be clear, not for everybody, but if you're one of those people I just mentioned, then maybe right now is a time to use responsible, low interest efficient debt to your advantage, because interest rates are never lower than we've seen right now. And inflation is about the highest we've seen in at least a decade, if not several. So with that being said, using places where you can access debt efficiently, say for instance, a refinance, a cash out refi, or a HELOC on your existing residence where you can get a very low interest rate and use that to buy another property or to maybe sow into your vision, right? Where you're going to get a return, not just financially, but also with purpose and fulfillment, then that might be a good time to use things responsibly to your advantage and not to be punished for being a saver and a cash investor, because right now is kind of a punishing time for those Dave Ramsey type people like myself. And I know a lot of us come from that background, and I've been doing that for years, but I've kind of had to readjust my thinking based on how money makes sense right now in this environment. So if you have extra cash on the sidelines, put it in a place where responsibly you can get a good return, but maybe you can use some leverage to your advantage. If you have any questions about this, it's not a one size fits all answer. It's a very specific, tailored, individual approach. You can definitely reach out to me, go to visionpossible.net, schedule an appointment with me. But those are just some ideas right now that a lot of people don't realize, that even though it makes us feel the warm, kind of fuzzy, comfort blanket of having cash in checking and savings, it's not a good place for a lot of people right now. But like I said, don't overextend yourself. Don't get yourself in trouble if you know you have that tendency. So it really just depends on where you are.
Slow clap.
I just realized I'm
The
on mute.
slow clap.
Yes. No.
Oh, no, that's
You are on the circle bus. Good job, Ryan.
Think after a year of working from home and being on Zoom that I would learn the unmute button.
You would
still haven't done it. I still haven't done it.
You're
All right.
thinking-
Well,
You're doing great.
Well,
Just make sure
I
you
have-
responsibly use your interest rates.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Ryan a question because, everybody is kind of going crazy for the cryptocurrency situation. And so, Ryan, what are your feelings? Like, let's say I've got, I don't know, $1,000 saved. Should I be investing in cryptocurrency?
That's a great question, Julieann. And again, I go back to something I just said a second ago is I can't really give any specific advice unless I know every aspect of a client's situation. So it really depends. $1,000 for somebody who has $5 million is really a very different thing than somebody who has $1,000 in checking and their whole life's net worth. And they're thinking about putting that into cryptocurrency. Obviously, you should not do that if you're in the latter category. If you're in the former category, where you have a lot of net worth and assets, then maybe that's worth something doing. One thing that I look at as an investor, not a speculator, but as an investor who is actually looking at intrinsic value of certain asset classes. One thing that I do find appealing about Bitcoin specifically is that there's a finite supply, meaning that just like gold, you can't produce more of it. You can't devalue the currency. There is value to me in a currency that is not issued by a government, by a central bank. It is something that is kind of immutable in and of itself, but it's very volatile. So don't invest $1,000 in Bitcoin thinking that you're going to make $2,000 next week and then cash out. Be willing to invest whatever amount of money that is with at least a 10-year period in hold. You're not going to sell that Bitcoin no matter what happens for at least 10 years, and then maybe it'll be worth something more, or at least at the very minimum, it would be a hedge against a currency like, say, the US dollar being devalued by government spending. So it really, really depends where your situation is. I do like Bitcoin for some specific reasons, but it is a very, very volatile asset class, meaning it can go up and down very quickly, very steeply in a very short amount of time. So if you're going to do that, don't do it with anything less than a 10-year horizon where no matter what happens, you're going to hold on to it. If it goes down to zero, it doesn't matter. You just, you're at peace with that. And if you do hold on, you're probably going to do well in the long term. But again, it really depends on the person's situation. But that's kind of at the 30,000 view level.
I just feel like a lot of, and I'm not just saying just younger people, but I feel like, and I mean younger than me, a lot of the 20 to 30-year-olds have been really told that, hey, this is the way to get rich quick, kind of a scheme. And I just really get nervous when I see these kids just putting all their, like, I have $1,000. That's it to my name. That's my rent.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me so nervous, because you want to invest that in something that's going to actually invest in yourself. Like, let's say you do a coaching call or something, or you've bought a program of some sort that's going to actually educate you and grow you as a person so that you can have the $20 million.
That's exactly right. There's a great question Billy Epperhart brought up once where somebody asked him if they had $1,000 to invest, what should they invest in? And he says, almost without exception, invest in yourself. Go to a conference, buy a set of CDs or DVDs or MP3s, whatever it is that you can actually learn from. If you have $100,000 to invest and maybe you're worth $5 million, that's maybe a different conversation. But if it's the very starting point, investing in yourself, absolutely, Julieann, I agree 100%. That is the best thing you can do. And that's why we make these things available. And some of them are free, like we have today. A great example, not to toot our own horn, but this is why we do this. Invest in $5 a month, maybe 10 or 20 bucks a month to become a Vision Possible protege so you can get access to all these teachers. Then when you're ready, invest $2, $5, or maybe even $100 or $1,000 a month into coaching. I've done this myself, and it has worked for me very, very well. But you've got to prioritize what you're doing in your life above what somebody else is doing with their life. And if you look at the stock market, that's a great example. I believe in Amazon because they're a great company with a lot of vision. I believe in Apple because, whatever. What about you? What about your vision? What about your company or your ministry? Do you believe enough in that to invest in it the same way that you'd invest in somebody else? If the answer is no, I'm not saying that you should do that or shouldn't invest in some other place. I'm just asking you, why that is the case. If you don't believe in yourself enough to invest in what you're trying to do, whether that's coaching, whether that's resources, whether that's, skills training, whatever the case may be, why are you not willing to invest at least as much in yourself as you are in somebody else's vision or enterprise?
Investing in yourself, I just want to add, can also be someone may want to get a personal trainer to get themselves physically in shape. Like we get so caught up in the business part of it, but what about you personally, investing in yourself on a personal level of maybe you join a gym, maybe, like I said, maybe you have a personal coach or something, or a private coach for exercise. But that's also, don't forget, that's also investing in your future, as a person, as you're getting older, because it's awesome when you're in really great shape and you're able to handle a lot more than most people would, just because you are in physical good condition.
I think you can probably speak to that more than anybody, Julieann. You definitely are juggling a lot of hats. You look great. You're in great shape. And I absolutely agree. For me, working out is almost more mental, psychological, and emotional than it is physical. And it's because you increase your capacity, not just physiologically, but in so many ways. And you could insert the blank, whatever that is. If it's working out, great. If it's spiritual, if it's professional, whatever that case is, but expanding your own personal capacity to add more value to more people is going to give you multiples on whatever you've invested into that. You've just got to be patient and commit to the process.
That's so good. Great answer. All right, we've got some more questions coming in from our viewers. This one is from Sua Steer Studio. I'm guilty of letting my ADD get the best of me. How much of my time a day or week should I focus on my new business I just started versus my day job? That is a really, really good question. And I talk about this a lot when on the teachings, when it comes to starting your business, like what's an acceptable amount of balance to your business? And, really the answer depends on what it is. Now, here's the thing. Your time, what you spend your time doing is a determinant on how committed you are to a given thing. For example, if I'm in a relationship with somebody and I'm committed to that relationship, there is no sacrifice for time, right? Time invested into that relationship. It's the same thing with your business, especially up front. You're going to need more time to get it started. Eventually, you'll be able to have funds to be able to reinvest in your business, to automate certain things, to hire help, right? So there are ways to automate, to get help, et cetera, to outsource, to leverage, outsourcing, et cetera. But at the end of the day, you're still going to have to put in the blood, sweat, and tears at the beginning of that business to do it. And so there's no rote answer, right? There's no exact formula. If I spend this percentage of my time on it per day, then I'll get this kind of results. No, it's just like a relationship. The more time you invest, the greater the return will be, and the quicker you're going to be able to see your business started. So you have to answer that question for yourself. How much time? Well, how badly do you want that business? How soon do you want that to take over your day job? That's really the answer I'd give. But does anyone else have any points of clarification or thoughts for that?
That was really good.
My thought on that, how much time should you spend on your dream versus your day job? Well, your day job is your day job. That job to pay your bills, you work that job as many hours as you need. But you're only going to get out of your dream what you put into it. If you can only spend an hour a week, that's all you're going to get. It's going to take you forever. If you get home and spend 2-3 hours a night on your dream, if you're, I don't know, whatever it is you're doing, making birdhouses, or if you're drawing pictures like I do, or whatever it is, if you want to do that for a living, you need to spend the time it takes to make that happen. And I know a young man, we just met him recently, actually. He started a business during COVID, and now he makes enough money to quit his day job. He really focused. He said, if I don't start this business now, I'm never going to start it. And him and a friend started this business. And it was a simple thing. They could make it home. It was a hobby that they loved to do. And now they make so much money at that business, they were able to quit their day job because they focused on it and they applied themselves. It wasn't like, well, I'll get to it. You can't just do it that way. I meet a lot of writers, and they always say they want to write a screenplay. I'm going to write a screenplay. I'm going to write a movie. and I'll meet them 6, 7 months, a year later. How's that movie coming? Oh, slow. You know, it's a year later, they've done nothing. So you're just going to get out of it what you put into it.
Absolutely. And, you know, honestly, I think that one of the greatest things you can do for yourself is get on your phone and whatever, set that thing that tells you how much time you're spending on your phone. I don't know what it's called, but it's like a time tracker of some sort, because I bet you if you're spending an hour a day on your phone, I mean, like throughout the day, an hour a day on your phone, just like vegging out and looking at everybody else's life, that's time wasted. I mean, I'm just being real here, because that's time wasted. You need to spend that time on yourself. And that's why I think that you can maybe look at and see, takes an evaluation of your own life and say, okay, what am I really spending a lot of my time on? We all fall prey to it. We all get on our phones and just start doing this, you know, and going, oh, look at so-and-so's life. And then I'm like, wait a minute, what about my life? I've got too many things to do. This is ridiculous. But start really, like we said about Terry Seville Foy, how, you know, starting your day, you know, starting your day off right, like the person asked Carly that question. Well, I think you should also look at your whole, look at your whole day and see how many hours you spent on your phone wasting time. And that'll really help you, because you could take that time and sit down, or whatever you're going to do, follow up with your business plan, add to your business plan, start another business plan, evaluate where you are to this day. Like, there's so many things that you can do. Get on the phone, listen to a podcast that maybe is in that industry that might inspire you. Like, there's so many things that you can do besides sitting on your phone, because I know that is a huge time stealer.
Yeah, that's a great point, Julieann. I actually had somebody ask me this question recently, and this is a real life question with a good friend of mine. And they're like, Ryan, you know, like, I really want to just pursue my passion. Like, I love what you've done. And I'm just so tired of like the fact that I keep switching things. And what I told them was, are you passionate enough about what you say you're passionate about, that, like what Butch said, are you willing to do that as a side hustle for a time while you're having to work a job just to pay the bills? Because everybody needs financial stability and security. Like, I don't care how passionate you are, if you can't, you know, provide for yourself enough to like pay rent and buy grocery bills and be able to eat, like, you got to have minimum basic life stability to be able to meet minimum necessary expenses and have the, you know, like what's called Maslow's hierarchy, like basic minimum needs met: food, shelter, clothing, right? You don't have those, I don't care how passionate you are, you're not going to be stable enough to do that. So make sure you have the stability to be able to pay for your life, and then have the passion on top of that to actually work, like Butch said, tirelessly every day for hours a day, if need be, on whatever it is. Eventually, your daydream will become your day job. But you've got to have financial stability first, and you've got to make sure that you have the staying power to be able to stick with that to where it gets to the point where it becomes self-sustaining. So that's a really important practical thing I think a lot of people leave. And that's not to say just work a job to make money. Like, I'm a huge believer in do what you love, but you have to have financial stability. So do what you love, and love it enough that you can do it on top of a day job that's just for a time, even to bring an income and a paycheck to pay for your life, so that you have the opportunity to work on those things.
You know, one of the things that I've done practically that has really helped with this in my life, balancing work, balancing business, balancing my day job, is doing an audit of the decisions I'm making. And what I mean by that is the yeses and the nos. So be alert how many times you say yes to people in your life. Be alert to how many times you're actually agreeing to do something. For example, going out with friends, doing something on the weekends, going to an event or a concert or a trip. Notice how many times you're saying yes to those things. And remember this. Somebody wise once told me this. I don't remember who it was, but it's just so powerful. When you say yes to something, you're saying no to an infinite amount of other things that you could be doing. But when you say no to something, you're saying yes to an infinite amount of things that you could be doing. And so get to the point in your life where your no's outweigh your yeses. What I mean by that is you're saying, no, I can't do that. Why? Because you're investing in yourself, because you're building your business, because you're taking that time that you would be scrolling on Facebook and you're investing that into yourself, into your business. And until you get to that point where you're actually saying no more than you're saying yes, that's what's helped me so much be able to balance my time out to the point now where I know I spend this many hours on my day job and I can still have time, whether that be off hours or on the weekend, to build my business and to do the things that I'm passionate about doing, like Vision Possible, right? But that's one practical tool that's really, really helped me.
That's so good. I think Julieann's on mute.
You're on mute, Julieann.
We can't hear you.
Julieann, we can't hear you.
Hi. I'm not the only one tonight, folks. On the record.
You're on mute.
You can't hear us either. Julieann, you're muted, sweetie. You're muted. We can't hear you. You may have to come off and sign back in.
Yeah. Well, while she's coming back on,
I had that button in real life. Why can't I have that in real life? Just
hey, be careful. He's coming back on here in a second.
Guys, while she's gone, now's our chance.
Hey, I want to do a special shout out to Aaron on the chat while Julieann's joining us. Aaron, I've been really blessed by your comments, but I'm just curious, guys. There is a comment from Aaron. He says, I'm looking to a career in comics and fighting doubt and a long-time negative outlook. Does anyone have anything that could encourage Aaron? Because we all, Aaron, have that same issue in our lives. Like, we are always fighting doubt, and especially when you've been pre-programmed to think that way, you've thought that way a long time in your life. Like, how do you counteract that? I'm just curious, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
A career in comics, like to draw comic books? Is that what it implies?
Looking at his other comments, I'd say that's a safe bet.
Yeah, okay. From Blind Guy Productions, how does a blind person get into the animation industry? Wow, that's a heck of a question. Real quick, I'll go fast. I'll answer Aaron's question first. Aaron, getting into the comics industry is like getting into any industry. You have to knock on all the right doors, and you have to do the knocking. You have to be the one going out there. You have to practice all the time, which I'm sure you do. Don't be afraid to show your art to people, because that will be the death of anything you try to do, is if you're afraid. Don't be afraid to show your art. Get a portfolio together. These days with Zoom, it's a lot easier to show people your stuff, a lot easier to show your stuff with the internet and things like that. Back in the day, you had to actually walk into a place and show your portfolio face to face. But practice, keep practicing. Draw things no one else is drawing, and create your own comic to start with. If you want to draw a page or two of an imaginary Spider-Man comic that you've thought of yourself, that's always cool to do as well. And to this blind gentleman, how do you get into the animation industry? That's a good question. I would need to know what you can do. If you're a writer, it doesn't matter if you're blind. You could be writing stories fantastically. The artwork, you could probably still do artwork as well. I don't know exactly the style of artwork that you do, but it would depend on some sort of a special circumstance, I think, to see what kind of art you do. But you could write stories. You could contribute to jokes. You could definitely create a show and let other people draw it. There's all kinds of ways to get into the animation industry.
And didn't you have one of your actors on Fairly Odd Parents? Wasn't she blind as well?
She sure was. The voice of Trixie Tang, one of our most famous characters ever, was a blind girl. Her name was Dion Kwan, fantastic voice actress who was blind. We had her in many, many episodes. She came in, did a fantastic job. She always had her script written out in Braille, which was fascinating to me, and did an amazing job. Nothing held her back at all. So voice work is another way.
Butch, I'm going to throw this comment up there as well while you're talking about this. This is from Zachary. Any advice for creating show ideas and pitching to the studios? I'm in the industry and would love to go from animator to showrunner one day.
Wow.
Yeah,
well, that's
go buy Mad Hustle
I was just
and
gonna say.
listen to our podcast.
Yeah, get my book, Mad Hustle, and listen to the podcast, because that is a massively huge question. I'm glad you asked it. It's a wonderful question. But it will take you. It took me way too long to answer right now. But get my book. Everything you need to know is in that book.
That book is really important.
Yeah, you'll know that. You'll know for sure.
That's good. Well, guys, thank you so much for your questions, for your comments. If you're just joining us, I want to let you know who we are and what you're watching right now. This is the Vision Possible monthly question and answer. We are live taking your questions today. But the 5 of us who are on this call are the Vision Possible coaches. We come to you all the time with fresh content on our social
And we can do
media.
this. We can do this. We can spin around in our
No
chairs.
one can
just
see
like
you
this.
right now, Butch. I'm keeping the video
Darn
off.
it.
It's on me right
Darn
now.
it. I was spinning.
So if you're wondering what Butch is doing, he was spinning there there we go. He was spinning there.
There we go.
But you're distracting from the Vision Possible pitch, Butch. Let's get back to this. So I just want to let you all know that we are so passionate about seeing your daydream become your day job. That's our slogan here at Vision Possible. But we do that through the content that we produce. Go to visionpossible.net for more. And if this has blessed you, share it with someone else. Press that share button, like and subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching on Facebook right now, like the Facebook page as well, and share so other people can hear this as well and benefit. Now we got plenty of other questions coming in. Let's see. I love this question. This one's from Michael. Let me throw it on the screen, and whoever wants to take this can. What has been one of the most recent impactful moments in the pursuit of y'all's vision?
Wow. You know what? Real quick,
question.
recently, and we'll be able to share this more as we go forward, but Julieann and I just got some great funding for a new project, which is real exciting. And it's one of those things where, you know, we were talking about it, we were envisioning it, we were developing it, and then some people believed in it and came behind us, and it actually, you're like, wow, we did it. This is fantastic. And so I can't share any more than that right now because it's I can't wait to we're going to share it all soon. But that was a very impactful moment because our vision went from being just a thought to now we're actually doing it on a daily basis.
You know, and I think that is a great question. We actually had this question earlier. And so Julieann or Butch, I'll let you guys answer this. But obviously there's a catch-22, right? There's a catch-22 between needing provision, needing money to start your vision, right? Needing it to, whether it's a business or a book or whatever it is. And then also having the vision to attract that money and actually go approach investors to get that money. So I'm just curious. We saw the question earlier. What are some ways to get investors for your idea? Because I know you guys have just gone through this recently.
Julieann?
Well, one way is that when you find people that, like, let's say that you want to do something that's going to impact the lives of children. Well, you go and you start meeting people that have that same kind of passion that they want to. They may not be the creative one, but they want to fund something that would impact their children or their grandchildren. You know, it's like we are creating a streaming platform called O Access Entertainment. And so we've been now about 3.5 years working on it. And it's a huge undertaking, but it's taken us a while to meet people that want to see something like what we're doing. And you just have to literally take a step of faith. You know, people go, well, you're Butch Hartman, you know, and because of that, everybody's going to want to invest in yourself. Well, that's not true at all. We started fresh from what after Butch left Nickelodeon so that we could go on this journey to start working on this passion of ours, this huge vision of ours that said that we want to, you know, create content for children that was safe, that kids would not be, you know, getting into all the stuff that they shouldn't be getting into, just looking for a cartoon. And so we wanted to create that kind of a platform. Well, we've had to find those people. And I tell you, it's just the minute you make that decision, okay, this is what I'm going to do. It's amazing how doors start opening. You get an email, you get a text because you're starting to speak your vision forward. You're starting to tell people in, you know, your phone calls, in your friend groups, in your Zoom calls and all that stuff. Hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what we're doing. This is what, you know, my dream is. And all of a sudden you get people going, wait, I want to be a part of that. I'm really interested in that. And that is really how it happens. unless you have a group of investors that you already know about and they're just waiting, to hear a project. There's a lot of different groups that will do that, that will just, we've got one that's a Christian one, and it's called the Lion's Den. We never actually did it, but we were judges once on one of their pitch, well, I guess what do you call it, a pitch event, where you go in first. You go in and you give them an idea of what you're going to do. You pitch them what your idea is, and they'll decide then. But when you do get it, you get up on stage, you pitch your whole project, and the whole room is full of investors that are waiting to invest in something that day. That was just one that we knew about. We ended up not doing it. Like I said, we were the investors at one point, deciding on whether we're going to do something with them. But there's plenty other ones out there. But again, you just have to, I'll tell you something. Step one is, I'm doing this. Step two is, I'm going to now put it out there. And once you start speaking that out there, word of mouth starts getting around. And pretty soon now you've got one meeting that leads to another, that leads to another. Most people are not just like mean and go, no, see ya, get out of here. I never want anything to do with you. Most people really do want to help and say, that's not what I do, but I know someone that would likes to invest in that kind of thing. In the very beginning, we had gone out to a lot of tech investors. And what we kept getting back was, hey, this is an amazing idea, but we only invest in tech. We're not interested, but here's a phone number of somebody that would be interested in investing in an entertainment type thing. So that was our experience. And so step number one is, you got to step out. You got to decide you're going to do it. And step number two is get out there and start talking about it.
That is so good. There are so many, like Julieann was saying, pitch tanks out there and investors. But before you can do any of that, you have to be confident and be able to know your business like the back of your hand. Have you guys ever heard the term elevator pitch? It's this idea that you'll be able to talk about your business in the 30 seconds it takes to go from the first floor to the fifth floor in a building, right? Like if you had your one chance where you walked in an elevator and then like Bill Gates or Elon Musk or some rich person came in the elevator and you were in that elevator for 30 seconds, could you make the most use of those 30 seconds? That's the idea of an elevator pitch, right? So you have to know your business like the back of your hand. You have to be confident. Investors can smell from a mile away someone who isn't confident in their business. They can tell because of the way you hold yourself. And this is a shameless pitch for Vision Possible Protege program, in that I have an entire series on how to start your business, and like 3 of the videos are dedicated just to finding investors, approaching investors. There's a whole process that you need to take to ensure that you have your business plan ready, you have your financials, you have a powerful presentation, and you know your stuff, because investors, they have a lot to choose from in today's world. Like I said, pitch tanks are very popular nowadays. And so investors can have a buffet of options to choose from. So knowing your audience, knowing your investor, creating a solid business plan, which contains your marketing plan, your financial plan, your operation plan, having a strong vision and mission. This is all the stuff I talk about in that series, but taking the time for that, right? Investing in yourself, investing in your business, and writing all of that out so you can have a document to be able to give them any moment in time. Always be ready.
And Nathaniel, I want to just add one more thing. Investors are investing in you first.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah.
You may have the best product, but if you're a jerk, they're not going to invest with you. I mean, I'm just telling you, if you are a hot mess and you have nothing, everything is kind of in a disarray and there's no organization, trust me, they're going to invest in you. Are you also a likable person? Are you a person that, can get along with people? Are you a person, because when you're super shy and you can't have a conversation and you can't talk and all that, how are they going to get to know you? I'm just telling you, it is really based on, number one, when you go out there, is they're going to invest in you. Who are you? And what do you bring to the table?
So good. That is great. Well, guys, we have time for one more question. We're already at our time, but I want to include this last question. So this is from Ara, and she's on YouTube under the tag The Analog Kid 97. She says, what is advice for balancing your main priorities with family matters and other things going on in your life to prevent from falling behind in the goals you want to meet and stay on top of everything? So basically, prioritization.
That is an amazing question. Anybody else want to?
You know, I have a formula that I use in my life that's been powerful, and I'm not going to pretend like I made this up. This is from a book called Procrastinate on Purpose, and it has absolutely changed my life. The guy's name is Rory Vaden, who came up with this principle, but it's basically a idea for prioritization. So many of us think procrastination is a bad thing, but guess what? To your question here, when you've got priorities like family matters, things that need to go on in life that are priorities to you, some things you're going to have to procrastinate and let fall off the plate. And so a lot of times in our fast-paced world today, we're not comfortable with letting things go or saying, hey, that's got to be done later. But we have to be able to what's called procrastinate on purpose. So what that means is this. Basically, you take every task through this funnel or this idea. The first one is, can you say no? Can you say no to it? Remember earlier I was talking about the no's and the yeses? Can you say no? That's the first question you have to ask. If you can't say no to it, it needs to be done, then you have to ask, can I delegate it? Can I give it to someone else? If I can't give it to someone else, maybe there's not a family member who could do it for you or somebody at the office or a direct report, right? If you can't delegate it, then you should try to automate it. That way it's just done automatically. It's routine. It just happens over and over and over. If you can't automate it, then you procrastinate it. If you can't procrastinate it, if you can't put it off till tomorrow, then you need to do it. And that's how you kind of know. So again, it's an art more than a science, right? But you need to feel comfortable with knowing it's totally okay to put off something or say, I'll do it later, because what family comes first. Obviously, this is my hierarchy in my life, right? My relationship with God, my relationship with my family. Then it's what God has asked me to do, what he's called me to do. So there's things in my life, so home, family, etc. And then from there, it's my job. And so I know my hierarchy. You have to establish the hierarchy for yourself and be okay with saying no. Be okay with putting something.
Absolutely. And, when you add to the mix, you have a husband or a wife, or you've got kids, that you have to learn to prioritize. Listen, all this stuff, with doing all this and getting all this stuff done, all this self, education and all this stuff, that's all great. But if you've got a family, your family is first. And because they will be the first ones to suffer. And you have to really learn how to balance that. And trust me, I am a person that hates to say no. But there are times when you have to say, my family's going to suffer from this. There's no way I'm going to do that. You do have to prioritize and decide what is the most important and stick to that, that list that you choose. A single person, yeah, you've got a lot of responsibilities, but wait till you start adding a significant other and you start adding children who need you, right? And the more kids you have, the more you're needed. That doesn't mean that that all your dreams and desires go away, but you have to prioritize. They have to come first, because let me tell you something. If you want to look at that as a job, if your first job is suffering, how are you going to do your second and third job? It's just not going to work. And you're going to be frustrated. And I always tell people this. I am 59 years old now, and I refuse to ever live in regret. Regret is something that I see, and I've always seen a lot of the elderly people. And I always said to myself, I will never live in regret in my old age, because I see where that goes. It leads to a lot of sadness. It leads to a lot of sickness, I believe. And so I will never do the things that I'm going to regret later. So that's kind of why that's my measuring stick on that. I have to do the things that I know that I'm not going to regret later, or not do the things that I might regret later. But your family is always going to come first, no matter what.
It's really good.
That's so good. Yep. Awesome. Well, guys, we are at time. You guys have been an awesome audience. Thank you for submitting your questions. It is our pleasure, and we are so happy that you guys have submitted those, sent them in. But
go subscribe to the Vision Possible. Go subscribe to the Vision Possible channel. You guys can get teaching every week like this.
That's right. So again, go to visionpossible.net for more information about our protege program, to check out our coaching. If you haven't read the book yet, Vision Possible, the book that started it all by Butch and Julieann, make sure you check that out. But again, thank you so much for joining us. Again, share this video. If it's blessed you, share it with someone else. Maybe someone will catch it on replay and they'll enjoy it. But like, subscribe, follow. And guys, we will see you again next month here at Vision Possible.
Bye,
Talk to you guys
guys.
later.
Bye.
Bye.